Another chapter in the long-running Gundam anime franchise comes to an end. In this week's heart-pounding, action-packed, tears-inducing finale of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. If you haven't seen this week's episode, check yourself at the door, go watch it, and come back to this review, because I'm going to be talking about all of the aspects of this episode and giving my final thoughts on the series, and I can absolutely say that the final episode of Iron-Blooded Orphans turned me into a frigging child. I was crying by the end of the episode. It was so damn intense. And I honestly think that Iron-Blooded Orphans has sort of encompassed what are the best things about the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, which is its ability to not be completely black and white about everything. I never expected that Rustal Elion would end up being one of the catalysts which led to peace in the Iron-Blooded Orphans world, considering some of the shady dealings that he was involved in, like getting Orga killed or using the Dainslife weapons. But by the end of the series, he, along with Kudelia Ina Bernstein and the remnants of Tekkadan, have effectively brought in peace to Mars, allowed them to become their very own organization, gotten rid of the whole human debris situation with child soldiers, and even Gallarhorn has been completely reformed, getting rid of the 7-star system. Peace has truly been attained through some really shady dealings. And this is one of those situations where you have to ask yourself, do the ends justify the means? It's a really great, thought-provoking finale, and I really appreciate it for that. Not to mention, that mobile suit battle at the beginning of the episode? Holy shit! The finale of Iron-Blooded Orphans is divided up into two chunks, with the first half of the episode being about the big final confrontation with Tekkadan, and the second half being sort of the finale of the series. The first half of the episode is just ridiculous. It's got, honestly, I think one of the most unique mobile suit battles I've seen from the series in terms of the animation and what they actually make these mobile suits do. It's basically just Mikazuki and Akihiro having a final showdown with all of these Gallarhorn soldiers and Julieta and Eok, and it is satisfying as shit, man. I just can't put it to words. What I love most about it is that they're seemingly defeated at first by the Dainslife weapons. Rustal just fires on them from space. Their mobile suits get completely wrecked and destroyed, losing their limbs, and yet, thanks to the Elia Vignana system, both Akihiro and Mikazuki still manage to fight on. And the disturbing images of them in their cockpit covered in blood, Akihiro in particular with shrapnel sticking out from multiple parts of his body as they continue to fight back against these Gallarhorn mobile suits, is just chills inducing. It's ridiculous. And the way that they animate them when they both just go full on after this, like when the Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex's eyes just erupt with this red light, man, it just goes into full freaking gear here. They move in ways that we've never seen before. They fight in a more hand-to-hand style, which you don't see too often in the Gundam anime series, aside from a series like, say, maybe G Gundam or Gundam Build Fighters. Here they ditch their weapons and they just go to ripping people to shreds with their bare freaking mobile suit hands. There's a great shot of the Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex where it actually rips off the head of one of the Gallarhorn mobile suits, and they do this like slow pan where you see him actually holding like the robotic spinal cord going up to the cockpit. It's such a haunting image, and it really makes these guys seem otherworldly, and frankly, it turns them into monsters. It's made even more disturbing by the fact that Mikazuki himself seems to really be enjoying this battle. They do this close-up shot of him smiling as he prepares to just completely massacre these guys. And man, it's kind of scary, to be perfectly honest. He's basically allowed himself to be completely consumed by the power of the Gundam in the Elia Vignana system. And both of them have their big moments. First, let's talk about one that is going to be very satisfying to fans. The death of Yokujin. This is something that's a long time coming, and of course it's Akihiro who puts him down. When he realizes who it is that's attacking him and hears his name, he absolutely flips the fuck out. He gets him with his massive clamps, and he just gets such a satisfying, super violent death of you getting to see his cockpit slowly close in on him before, boom, there's nothing left but his crushed corpse. It just felt right. We were waiting for this character's death for a long time. Unfortunately, Akihiro gets assaulted from many angles and unfortunately does succumb to his wounds and dies right there on the battlefield. Following suit, we do have one final confrontation between Julieta and Mikazuki, which is awesome. Julieta is a character I was convinced was going to die in this episode, but she actually manages to defeat Mikazuki in battle, literally decapitates his mobile suit's head, lifts it high in the sky, and Gallarhorn has won. And just like Akihiro, Mikazuki has succumbed to his wounds and he dies. It's not officially confirmed until the second half of the episode when you get to see this gravestone, which has all of the names of the members of Tekkadan and the ones who died in the battle, just sort of like chiseled and scratched in, and you get to see there's Orga, there's Akihiro, and unfortunately there is Mikazuki. It's such a sad moment, yet it's one that I knew that was coming. I was fully convinced, even at the beginning of the series, that most of the characters were going to die, and I had a feeling that Mikazuki was going to be killed as well, and it was a very bold move for the series to do that. However, the rest of the episode is actually kind of uplifting when you get to see what the results of Tekkadan even existing were. They actually brought attention to Mars, its plight, the human debris, the corruption in Gallarhorn, and they've completely wiped the slate clean and made things better. Even Kudelia Ina-Bernstein is in a much higher place of power. She's actually sort of employed all of the other former Tekkadan employees, except for some of them who still have revenge on their mind. And that leads to this one scene in the episode that I felt really went to some dark places, and they could have given us a happy ending with this character, but instead they decided to go really realistic with it. It's the character of Ride, who cannot get over the death of Orga, and he takes it upon himself to team up with some former members of Tekkadan to find Noblest Gordon and assassinate him, and he ends up just popping a freaking cap in his head when he's taking a shit. It was at this moment that I was thinking maybe there could be a third season. Maybe they could build upon this character a little bit more. Maybe we'll have some new characters to fall in love with, because of course, we are going to get that scene where we do get to see the son of Mikazuki and Atra. And he goes by the name of Akatsuki, and he basically looks like a mini Mikazuki, except that he has the hair color of Atra. This was the scene of the episode where, like, I started to cry. Like, I actually started to bawl a little bit. It was such a triumphant moment to actually see that whole family dynamic still be kept alive, with Kudelia returning to see Atra and seeing Akatsuki who jumped into her arms. It's just such a satisfying and loving moment, and it makes me realize that Mikazuki's sacrifice was worth it. And man, it was such a happy ending to such a gloomy Gundam anime series, giving me hope for the future while still leaving the possibility open for a sequel in the future, which I honestly think is something that I would like to see. I thought I was done with Iron-Blooded Orphans, but I find myself wanting more, especially after watching the final episode of the series. So what's the rundown on the final episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans? It has been one hell of a journey reviewing and watching this Gundam anime for you guys, and it's been an absolute pleasure as a Gundam anime fan, as I think this is one of the strongest examples of how to do a great spin-off Gundam anime series that's not set in the Universal Century, while still taking inspiration from a lot of the anime that came before it, while still managing to be completely unique. Like I said, the Mobile Suit battles in this week's episode are unlike anything that I've seen from the series. They don't even seem like the typical Gundam battles that you expect to see. A lot of that doing the fact that it's way more blunt than the other Gundam anime. This is something that I've brought up many a time while reviewing Iron-Blooded Orphans. The fact that there's no beam weapons or beam sabers, you know, which sort of cleanly slice through the enemy. Here, everything just feels so rough and violent and metallic and explosive. The scenes when Akihiro and the Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex just tearing through the Gallarhorn forces, you feel every hit, every single impact, every death actually has weight behind it. And that makes it all the more realistic and all the more fun to watch, personally. It's almost hard to watch when you actually like watch it back-to-back with another Gundam anime, seeing as how they do things. Another thing that I really liked about the finale is how they managed to give us a lot of action, and they also managed to wrap up the series in a pretty quick amount of time. And we even got to spend some more time with some of our favorite characters who did survive in the series, with Eugene basically becoming the bodyguard and confidant of Kudelia Ina-Bernstein, Chad even working for the company, getting to see that the old man and Miss Marybit actually have a child and have another one on the way. Good thing they're keeping things busy. And then, of course, that final bit at the end with the son of Mikazuki just completely tore me to shreds. I absolutely loved that. We even get a few time skip moments of getting to see a relationship getting built between Gaelio and Julieta, which I also think is pretty fascinating. I never expected Gaelio to even survive any of this stuff, and to see him have his old, goofy, fun personality back, the real Gaelio, it's honestly kind of shocking, and that's also something that I was really ready to embrace, considering how far he went in order to get revenge against McGillis Farid. And Julieta herself seems like she's going to have an important position in Gallarhorn, considering that she was the one who took down the Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex, so she basically made an image for herself, becoming the Grand Female Knight of Gallarhorn. Rustal Elion, though, getting out of this scot-free, something about that just feels wrong, though. I mean, he had intentions, of course, to bring Gjallarhorn back to a better place, but the way he went about it was pretty shady. But then again, that's what's so great about this series. Look at what Tekkadan did. They joined with a group of mobsters. They killed multiple people. They assassinated people outright. There really was no good or bad in the series. It was, like many of the other Gundam anime, a battle of ideals. And thank God it really worked in this series in a way that never worked in some of the previous Gundam anime. Overall, I would say that Iron-Blooded Orphans was an incredible success for the series. It had one of the best stories that I've ever heard from a Gundam anime, and is definitely broken into my top 10 favorite Gundam anime of all time. Mostly for its characters, and don't get me wrong, it has some stellar action sequences, but the character arcs of this series are just absolutely fascinating, and I love them, and I can't wait to revisit them, and hopefully we'll get to see them again in a sequel in the future. If not, I think this is a solid package for any Gundam fan, and you should definitely check it out. I can even recommend it to people who are not into the mecha genre, or not even into Gundam. There's enough to love here if you're looking for a really great story. So, what more can I say? The Orphans of Tekkadan are finally free to go about and do their very own thing. It took a massive sacrifice in order for that to happen, but man, what a ride it was. This was a great finale. This was a fantastic second season, which I still felt completely eclipsed everything that was the first season, and I thoroughly loved just about every single episode that aired this year. So, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. Overall, Iron-Blooded Orphans, both the first and second seasons, I'm going to give both of them, like, a 4 out of 5 in total. Like, they're damn near perfect in my opinion. There, of course, are some slower moments, and there are a few episodes that feel kind of unnecessary, but for the most part, it just works from beginning to end, and it's a series that's going to affect you emotionally, it's going to excite you, and it's something that any anime fan should watch. So check it out, guys. That's my thoughts on the final episode of Iron-Blooded Orphans. Make sure to tell me what you guys thought about this episode in the comments section below. How did you feel about the finale, the final battles, the deaths of major characters? Are you hoping to see another season in the future? Tell me about your experience with Iron-Blooded Orphans, whether it was something you liked or something that you did not like. And what do you hope to see from the next big installments in the Gundam anime franchise? Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for all things Gundam anime related. We also review a lot of other different shows, like just this weekend we had the premieres of My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan. Make sure to check out my reviews on those at the very end of this video. And of course, leave me a comment or two. I'd love to talk with you guys about this week's episode. It was pretty crazy. And if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.